Hey everyone, it's Tiffany Cherie, and today I'm going to be talking about some weight loss lies that I used to tell myself. For those of you who don't already know, as of now I have lost 80 pounds in this past year. I also have Hashimotos disease, which is an autoimmune disease of the thyroid that affects your weight and your ability to lose weight, along with about 300 other symptoms. This is the first year that I feel like I've really gotten a good hold of not only my autoimmune disease, but also my weight and my fitness journey. So in this video, if I keep circling back to the fact that I have an autoimmune disease, that is because it plays such a huge role in my health journey and in my perception of like weight loss and being healthy. Also, I'm sorry if you hear snoring in the background. My two big 90-pound and 80-pound babies are asleep. So I'm going to be looking at my list here, and the first lie that I told myself was that weight loss with Hashimoto's was nearly impossible. Now, I will say, being diagnosed in 2009 and one of the biggest symptoms relating to, it's so easy to gain weight, it's so hard to lose weight, it felt impossible. It felt like with my body literally working against me, it was like, not only did I have to work twice as hard as a normal person to see normal results, like to lose weight, I have to go above and beyond. And I had to accept the fact that just because it was very, very difficult didn't mean that it was impossible. I also had to normalize the fact that just because it was going to be harder for me compared to other people didn't mean that I was exempt from it if it was something I wanted to do. Because I wanted to embark on this journey, because I wasn't happy at the weight that I wasn't happy with my health overall, it was going to be harder, and that's okay. I just had to accept the fact that I'm different. I'm different from other people. My body works differently. My body is different. My immune system's different, and I just have a different set of parameters. I had to stop thinking that just because I wasn't normal, that meant that I just had to give up. Line number 2. I know what to do. I've lost weight before and I know how to do it. So it's no big deal. I don't need to know anything else. I just need to actually do it. This was a lie I told myself because clearly I had yo-yoed in my weight a lot in the past. I think one of my first videos on YouTube is me in college talking about how I had lost 50 pounds. I kept gaining and losing the same pounds, and there was a time in Australia when I was probably almost at my thinnest, but I was really, really unhealthy. I wasn't losing the weight in the proper way, and I wasn't building my muscles or doing any kind of strength training. So I needed to stop lying to myself and telling myself that I knew everything, that I knew what to do. Going back to the first point, because I am different, I had to learn new things. I had to do research. I had to try something different, something new. I had to stick with something longer. Clearly, I didn't know what to do because I wasn't where I wanted to be. I had to stop lying to myself and telling myself that I knew everything, because as soon as I did that, then I started thinking, okay, what's really going on? Let's strip away everything. Let's start from the beginning and figure out everything that's an issue here. Line number 2, my clothes were hiding my weight along with my makeup, and my clothes were not indicative of my weight. So quick story, in Australia, one of the places I worked at, we had a uniform. One of the blouses was a button-up blouse, and it had a short sleeve, and I would always wear that underneath a big sweater, but you could still see this portion of the blouse. I was gaining weight so rapidly, and I couldn't, they would only give us uniforms once a year, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. So my arms couldn't fit through the sleeve. So what I did was I literally snipped and cut up the uniform. My uniform was all shredded underneath the sweater, and I normalized that. And I would tell myself that putting on a giant oversized sweater or a big huge maxi dress and cardigan and all this shit, I would tell myself that contouring and learning how to I would only take pictures at very specific angles to give myself the appearance and the illusion of being thinner than I was. And because I normalized all the other things, my clothes weren't fitting me, I wasn't happy with my clothes. I was constantly having to either buy new clothes or just wear clothes that were too tight, or I would go the opposite and just wear men's clothes, and it wouldn't look nice on me. So I had to stop lying to myself regarding my physical aesthetic appearance, my makeup, my clothes. I needed to accept this is how big I am, and I either need to love myself now and just keep going with how I am, or I need to change, but I still need to love myself while undergoing that change. If I haven't posted it yet, I will be posting a fashion haul, and I kind of touch on this a little bit through my weight loss journey, I've never been one to want to spend a lot of money on clothes. I've never really had a good like fashion sense, but like wearing shredded up clothes underneath a giant sweater and like sweating your tits off in the Australian heat like is not loving yourself. It's not conducive to like accepting yourself or changing. So like I had to realize that normalizing this wasn't taking care of myself. Lie number 4, I was lying to myself about my situation and my mental health. I never connected the dots in my mental health and my physical well-being. And then once I started doing more research and learning, you know, and again, like realizing that I don't know everything, I realized that like where I was at my worst, like my environment wasn't good. I was not in a happy environment. Like I needed to be home. I needed to be close to my family. I needed to have a different support group, I guess. Like, not that I didn't have a good support group in Australia. Like, I had a lot of people in Australia who I miss and I love so much, and they were just like the best of friends and the best support group, but like just everything about like my life was off kilter and I wasn't connecting those dots. And I kept saying to myself, I would shame myself and just beat myself up and say like, oh, this is your fault because you know what to do and like you're just not doing it and you're just being lazy. And I would constantly berate myself mentally, which would just put me in this negative spiral. Lying to myself and refusing to connect those dots really was a detriment. Lie number 5 is kind of funny because I remember like being very, very vocal about this with multiple people. Like I didn't want to get stressed out from counting calories. I didn't want to involve myself in like strict dieting because I didn't think that you needed to be strict on yourself or abstain from anything. I loved flavor and taste and I didn't want to give it up, and I can lose weight without restricting myself, and I don't want to not go out to eat whenever there's outings or events. Like I specifically remember telling people like, I like to eat junk food and I like to eat things with flavor, and I'm not gonna, and it's possible to lose weight and I'm not gonna like not eat flavorful things. So again, it's kind of a reoccurring theme. Basically, I had to get back to basics, accept the fact that I'm different. I started the autoimmune paleo protocol for real. Like I tried, you know, as soon as I met my fiance, he is probably literally the biggest reason as to why I have been successful and am continuing to be successful, because he told me, I remember our very first date, he was like, I can see that you want to continue on this journey, because before I met him, I was just like going on walks and I was kind of doing AIP, like I wasn't really doing AIP, but you know, he really triggered the inspiration for me to educate myself on food and what I'm allowed to eat and what I shouldn't eat and what I'm allergic to. But I just had to accept the fact that I'm different and stop lying to myself about restriction being such a negative, imposing thing. Like, again, stop thinking about diets as like some temporary or quick fix, and stop thinking that like food is something that's like to be controlled or abstained. Like, I had to start thinking of food as fuel and what was good for my body, what was good for my gut, like my literal gut health. Number 6 is, honestly, I don't know if this is so much of a lie, but it was something that was like really an issue for me at the beginning, like before, when I was almost 300 pounds. Like this was really something that got to me, and it doesn't really get to me when I think about it now, because like me and my fiance have gotten like really good at budgeting. But like the fact that eating healthier and like eating autoimmune paleo and working out is like expensive. And again, this is a comparison to other people, but like more expensive than like normal people, like, which isn't really something that you should do. And like, yeah, it is more expensive. Like to eat bison bars, for example, like if I need to get a grass-fed autoimmune paleo beef that, or like meat that I can eat on the go, like as a snack, like other people could probably just buy from Walmart some like protein bars or whatever. But like literally you'll see on a bunch of AIP websites, like the go-to snack when you're out, or like, you know, if you can't get a hold of something to eat, is a bison bar. Bison bars are expensive. And there is something to be said about like healthier foods being more expensive, and that is frustrating, but there's a quote that I love, and it's, health is a crown that only the sick can see. And as soon as I started prioritizing my health and learning how to budget at the same time, everything just kind of fell into place. I reprioritized my health. I figured out, okay, if I want to spend this much on groceries, or figure out like where I can cut back, what can I DIY instead of buying an expensive bar? Like, can I make something myself or freeze something myself? Number 7, I used to tell myself all the time that other people were fatter than me. Other people were bigger than me and heavier than me, so I was fine. Which is so mean and horrible when I think about it, because I'm always so against like fat shaming, and I didn't consider myself to be fat shaming others when I would compare myself like that. And I can't stand it when people are like judgmental. So to find myself subconsciously like telling myself this, like there was a girl that I knew, and she's so amazing and so nice. I'll never say her name. But I used to work with her at one point, and I would look at her and literally say to myself, like, she has a double chin. Like, I don't have a double chin, so I'm fine. And then I got a double chin. And then I was like, well, these other people are like, their bellies are like way bigger than mine. It was so horrible to be constantly like comparing myself to others and lying to myself, thinking that I got some kind of pass or okay. Like, I wasn't happy with where I was. It would be different if I was like I've met so many people and so many women who are like overweight and they're like relatively healthy and they're just like, that's how they want to be, and that's cool. But as I said, like, I was off kilter. I wasn't happy with where I was at. My health wasn't in order. My Hashimotos was like still not in order. Like, not that you'll ever get rid of Hashimotos, but like, I wasn't properly taking my vitamins I was deficient in. Like, my levels were all over the place. But like, instead of addressing what I needed to, I would sit here and tell myself like, oh, I'm fine because there are other people who are bigger. That is so cruel to those other people, because there's nothing wrong with them. Like, if they want to be how they are and they're happy, that's fine. If they want to be on a journey, that's cool too. Like, people are in so many different stages of their journeys in life. Like, so I had to stop lying to myself, and I had to look inward and stop looking at other people. Lie number 8 was time. I know that's like so typical. I felt like I didn't have time. I would lie to myself and tell myself I didn't have time. But the truth was, I did have time. I had the time and the tools and the access to learn and educate myself. That was the first thing that I needed to do, was realize that I had the time and the resources to learn what I needed to learn and then to execute it, even if it was just 15 minutes a day. And I am going to be making a video on what I've done in this past year to lose these 80 pounds and what I'm going to continue to do so that I keep going in my journey, and like what I've had to change. But one of the first things I did involved literally only 15 minutes a day. Lie number 9 is so silly. Again, very similar to like looking outwards at other people. Number 9, I used to tell myself that I didn't want to get too small. And again, I was almost 300 pounds. I was looking at others instead of myself, these like hypothetical people. I would try to, I think it was a way for me to try to like love my body, even though I wasn't loving my body. I would tell myself like, I don't want to lose my boobs. I don't want to lose my ass. I don't want to lose my curves. Like, I don't want to get too tiny. I don't want to be anorexic. I don't want to be, which is like a disorder. Like, it was so, like, that's really not a nice way to think when you think about it. Like, I would tell myself like, I don't want to be a skinny mini. I still want to look like a woman. Like, and I had so many women in my life who would tell me this too. Like, literally so many women would be like, yeah, like, I don't want to lose weight either. I still want to look like I have hips. To that lie, I had to, again, realize like that's such a BS way of thinking. It's a mean way of thinking about others. Like, you shouldn't be like, there are women who are tiny and that's fine. There are women who are big and that's fine. Like, I need to focus on me. And however I look is how I look. Like, and I love the way I look. I love the way I look now. I'm going to continue to love the way I look as I continue on this journey. And I think, again, that was a way to kind of stall myself and be like, oh, well, I don't want to get too overboard. Obviously, there are people who, if they have mental disorders or issues, like, they need to not get too extreme. Like, there are people who are maybe on one end of an extreme spectrum and they don't want to like go to the other, which is why it's so important to keep in touch with like your healthcare professional. But I knew that I didn't have that issue. Like, I knew that I wasn't gonna like go overboard and like restrict myself too much and like just, I don't know, it was BS. Lie number 10 was that I had experienced injuries or issues when I tried to start this journey in the past. So what was the point of doing it again? So obviously I know now in hindsight that like the injuries I experienced in the past were due to either like crappy personal trainers, or I was not doing things properly, or the people around me were telling me to do like the wrong things. And like, yeah, I've had a really bad injury in the past with a crappy personal trainer, and every now and then the injury comes back, which sucks, but like I just have to learn how to be preventative regarding my sciatica. And I found out this past year that I have scoliosis, which triggers the sciatica, but the sciatica was never an issue until that crappy personal trainer told me to squat all that weight when I wasn't ready. Anyways, my point is that I gave up too quickly. Something I learned from one of my jobs was that when you have a mistake or you have an issue, you're supposed to get feedback and then develop from it. So I needed to apply that to my journey. Just because I had issues in the past and then I stopped and I failed, or like I gave up, doesn't mean that it's like the be all end all. Well, I tried that, like F it, like I guess I'm just doomed, like I guess I'm just doomed to be unhappy, like I guess I'm just never gonna have to see a personal trainer again. Like, and it does suck because sometimes you can have a really bad experience that can like put you off for a really long time, but I had to get over that fear, and I had to stop telling myself like, you know, oh, I'm just gonna injure myself again, or oh, it's just gonna be a bad experience again. Like, I'm doomed, woe is me. So I have some final words and notes that I'd like to say. The ultimate solution or answer to any like lie or excuse I would tell myself is that discipline was the key. Discipline was the answer to everything. Obviously, there was a lot of other answers. There's a lot of other factors, like having an amazing support group, like my fiance and my friends and my family, having access to a good doctor, having access to a good like gym and like good food. Like there's obviously a lot, but ultimately, in my opinion, discipline is what has gotten me through everything. When my motivation and my excitement, when I was like, yes, I'm going to start this and I'm going to try this and this is new and I'm learning, when my motivation waned, discipline is what kept me going. Getting into that routine of going to the gym 4 times a week, meal prepping every Sunday, planning out my time, planning out my day, planning out my meals. I would never say be mindless about it, but the fact that I was kind of like, okay, like this is just how it is. Like this is just a routine. Like being disciplined in that way, being like, okay, I'm going to stick to AIP because I've disciplined myself to do so, because I know the consequences of not being disciplined. Like that is what has gotten me through and helped push me through everything. Also, I ultimately needed to love myself in my mind, my heart, and my physical body at every stage. My self-worth and value was not in my physical body, but I needed to learn to like love myself, and taking care of myself was loving myself. I also truly needed to understand the difference between health and like just weight loss. And again, circling back to having Hashimoto's, like I don't have the luxury that other people do of just wanting to lose weight for like aesthetic reasons, I guess. You know, like I know a lot of people who are like, oh, like I need to lose weight and I need to lose this much, but like they don't have a health issue. So when I put the priority of my Hashimoto's at the top, when I was like, I need to get my Hashimoto's in order, then my weight loss came underneath that, because it all fell into place with that, like my vitamin levels, my deficiencies and this and that, like my hormones, like it all was connected, but the top priority had to be my Hashimoto's and my health. So that was different than just wanting to lose fat. All right, guys, that was everything. That was the 10 lies I used to tell myself and how I overcame those lies. Let me know in the comments down below if you've experienced something similar in your journey, or if you're going through it now. Definitely hit that like and subscribe button for more. As I said, I'm going to be making a video soon about more specific things that I've done in the past year and what I'm going to continue doing. So I hope you enjoyed, and wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a beautiful day. Bye!